when we do taxonomy, remember taxonomy is classifying the way biologists classify things is we divide them into categories. And the categories are based upon phylogeny now. Okay, so we look evolutionarily back. And the way most things get done is through what's called a dichotomous key. When you have a dichotomous key, di means? Two. Basically, whenever we do a dichotomous key, you start with everything, okay? Like all the organisms or all the items that you're going to start with, and then you branch it into two. Okay? So let's look in here. All the people in this room. Okay? That would be all the people here. How would you break this group into two groups? What could you do? You could do male and female, but you have to remember we're not just in a binary system anymore because there are trans people. So just be forewarned on that. But in this case, I do believe we all identify as either male or female, so we could do female and male. We split. Okay? So if you wanted to go, you could say black hair or not black hair. Okay? Which is interesting because what if they don't have hair?
Coming back to you.
You could do black hair and not black hair.
You can do either. Color won't work.
And then you would split the not black hair in the males and the not black hair in the females, and the black hair in the females and the black hair in the male. And slowly but surely you get down until you get to one individual at the end of each arrow. Okay? And every time you split it into two. Okay? And that's the branching method of a dichotomous key. The branch dichotomous key is a simple way of organizing your thoughts. When you finish a dichotomous key, what you start with are, let's say we're doing students in the room. Okay? And with students in the room, we would say 1A or 1B. And again, we're assuming binary here. It does not necessarily work that way, but we're assuming that for this case. So if it is this, go to 2. And then at 2, you would say 2A has black hair, or 2B has not black hair. I know that's not the way you'd probably word it, but that's how I'm going to word it. And if they have black hair, then we could say go to 3. And then we go 3A, 3B. 3A, what are we going to use? Say, has glasses or corrective lenses. Or no lenses, no corrective lenses. Okay? And then you could say go to 4. Got. So, over here, what would we say up here? Well, it might say go to 12. And then you would skip all the way down, ... and find 12A, black hair, or 12B, light colored hair. So when we go to taxonomy, when we're using taxonomy, we talked about King Phil comes over for good dinner, correct? Or good supper, sorry. So kingdom, phylum, class, order. The highest order Not the highest order. The highest rank we have in a hierarchy of life are the domains. Okay? And there are 3 of them. There's archaea, prokarya, and eukarya. Those are your 3 domains. Okay? These 2 are more similar to each other than eukarya is. Okay? The circled are what are called prokaryotic cells. Okay? And the green is eukaryotic cells. When we're looking at the 2 types of cells, we have prokaryotic cells, pro meaning before, karyon meaning nucleus. Okay? So prokaryotic cells have no membrane-bound organelles. Okay? So prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus. They do not have mitochondria. They do not have chloroplasts. They do not have vacuoles. All right? There's no membrane-bound organelles. There are ribosomes, because ribosomes are tiny, but they don't have that. Typically, they have circular DNA. Okay? And we like to think of most prokaryotics as bacteria. Eukaryotic, on the other hand, eu meaning good, karyon meaning nucleus. So these have membrane-bound organelles. And they have usually a true nucleus. I.e., there's a membrane around the DNA. And often the DNA is linear. I'll say linear, but it's still in a double helix coil, but the actual things are strands of DNA, not circular. The key to the eukaryotes, you will find eukaryotic cells. What do we have? Do we have a nucleus? Yes. So animals fit in here. Do plant cells have membrane-bound organelles? Do they have a nucleus? Yes. Do they have chloroplast? Yes. So plants are also these. What do we know about fungi? Not much, but we'll throw the fungi in here. And the protists, which we'll talk about, will also fit into this. Okay? On the other side, the prokaryotes are your archaea and your prokarya. So when we look at our kingdoms, once we go from the domains, we have 6 kingdoms. Okay, there are 6 kingdoms. Okay, there's archaea. There's eubacteria. There's protista. There's fungi. There's plantae. And there's animalia. Those are your kingdoms. And then from there you go into your phylums. So for instance, in Animalia, there's a huge number of phyla. Like we're phylum Chordata. Anything with a backbone, with a spinal cord going through it, is phylum Chordata. Sponges, phylum Porifera. Jellyfish, phylum Cnidaria. Or Coelenterata, depending on how you want to talk. Earthworms, they're the segmented worms, so they're Annelida. So phylum Annelida. Leeches also fit into that. Again, these are your prokaryotes. prokaryotic cells. These are your eukaryotic cells. When you look at parts of cells, there's two weird organelles that are found in eukaryotes. That's the mitochondria. So the mitochondrion and a chloroplast. They both have to do with energy. Okay? They both have to do with energy. They are both double membraned. And they both have their own DNA. That DNA is separate from the DNA found in the nucleus. And what's really cool about that DNA is typically it's round. How on earth or why on earth would a mitochondria need its own DNA?
Because
When you look at this, if you go way back and you had a big cell over here, and then you had a little cell here, and each one had its own DNA, right? So if this had DNA over here, and this one had DNA here, okay, you've got your DNA. Picture this for a second. It goes like this. And it builds itself a little hole like that. And lo and behold, we now have a cell that pinches off, and inside you've got a double membraned little thing. And if you can make it so that both of them are working in conjunction to each other, so they're in a positive relationship, that is called the endosymbiotic theory. And that is currently how they interpret how chloroplasts and mitochondria have become part of a eukaryotic cell just by becoming an integral part, not as separate entities, but together. And remember how the UK has just created that thing about three parents. You can have three different parents in the development of the embryo. That's why. This is where the third parent comes in. Because there's DNA within the mitochondria, but it's not mother or father DNA.